It's the shocking summer surprise film nobody saw coming. Minions and Monsters is a marvelous film. And guess what else? Because of that, it's going to shake up the box office, potentially stopping Toy Story and Supergirl from hitting the marks they so desperately wanted to make. It's a great day, folks, and welcome back. Happy July, second day. Here we go. And a major weekend. Happy 250th to America. As we dive in today, folks, click that like button and we'll tell you why this new Minions movie is a surprise. But not only that, it's going to have major impacts on Supergirl and Toy Story. I had no idea what I was getting into when I went to see Minions and Monsters, other than I figured I would see a lot of gibberish. I did not look into anything to do with this movie. I didn't know anything about it going in. I just, I've seen these films and I thought I had a handle on it. And I showed up, Culture. You've seen it now. We've both seen it. The guys in the lower row here, they've not seen it. They're going to weigh in, though, based on what we say. Culture, I got to say, I was shocked by this film in a way that I was not anticipating. Before we go into it, did you have a similar experience, or was this just sort of the typical yellow Minion fodder for you?
Well, I mean, it's just, I felt like I'm walking into another Minions movie. And again, I get a chuckle out of them. They're not things I go out of my way to see or whatever, but they always happen to see them. And, so going into the movie, I didn't have a lot of expectations. I certainly didn't expect it to play on multiple levels, which this film does. So yeah, I don't know if you had that same experience, but I knew George Lucas was going to be in it. So that's the only thing I really knew going in.
So I went in expecting fart jokes, burp jokes, it's the Minion shtick, and there's nothing wrong with it. It make 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds love the Minions, and that's A-okay with me. It makes a lot of money. The budgets are teeny weeny, itsy bitsy for these things, so it's a win for the theaters. It's a win for the studio. It's everybody wins with Minions, except grown-ups. We tolerate it. And what we're showing right now is the first third of the film that you're seeing in the trailer here. I was blown away in a way that none of these films have done. The first Despicable Me, I think, is a pretty solid film. But I don't know what was going on here. I don't know who the genius was who came in and said, you know what? What if we took a film that's supposed to be just kiddie fodder and a cash grab, and we just have at it and make something remarkable? And for the first third of the film, this thing is busting with Buster Keaton references, black and white film era jokes and gags. The work that must have gone into making sure that they got the 1920s era Hollywood exactly right it's phenomenal. And then this little green gooey guy, the green Cthulhu guy, shows up and he starts talking. And I thought, wait a minute, is that Cartman? Trey Parker does such a great job, and he's returning to the franchise as a different character this time, but he does such a good job of being in a high-pitched voice and staying away from Cartman. But there are a few times when you hear Cartman.
A little bit. Yeah.
And his voice acting, this character is great. The thing is, Culture, about this movie, there's about a third of the film when I'm like, I have stepped into something completely unexpected. I thought I was watching Minions, and I'm about to watch something that's on par with WALL-E, and I can't believe this. I'm just like, I'm so happy. I'm a smile. There's a smile on my face, and I'm like, I can't believe somebody actually went to this effort. And then the halfway point comes in. We get through the third act. We're into the second act, and it becomes a Minions film. I mean, it doesn't sustain that kind of quality that it becomes what it is, but. For the first third, Culture, I was blown away. I couldn't believe this film was this good.
I think you're right. I think the point at which it stopped being the most engaging of them all was right around the third act. I think it pushed the energy of the first act and kind of carried over into the second act, and it started to lose ground right there at the third act. But it's
this orange goopy monster. This orange goopy monster just doesn't do it. And the little green Cthulhu guy should have got a hold of something that made him grow and be huge and turn into real Cthulhu. And then they could have had Trey Parker really go all out. I mean, that's how this should have gone. There's a robot guy that just he does. It's a fine little flip, but
I like Dort. Come on now,
Dort's girlfriend is hilarious, but Dort himself is kind of.
Pro, here's the thing that I found magical about it. We went from the 20s and the silent film era, and then the Minions found themselves where a lot of actors and actresses of the time found themselves incapable of going to sound, to talkies, because they didn't have the voice that everybody imagined that they did.
Which was something that many of the celebrities of the time had to deal with, right?
Yeah, and so I appreciated that. So we watched the Minions grow up in Hollywood, basically from the 20s through the 50s, and they did it in half an hour. It was pretty amazing. And we get to the alien spaceship part of the movie, and it's very enjoyable. And like I said, this was an honorarium of Hollywood, of those various eras. I think I used George Orwell as an example. You had Buster Keaton, Charles Chaplin.
Yep.
You had Bogey. It was a Humphrey Bogart reference, and you had Citizen Kane in there, right? Yep. So there was a
smorgasbord. It was like I couldn't believe this was a Minions film for the first third. I was like, this is. The time they spent on getting these right. So what I think happened, okay, this is just me speculating. Yeah. I think they brought some genius to the first third, and then they ran out of time and said, "We got to have this out, guys. This has got to come out." And I don't know, Culture. This comes out where Shrek 5 was supposed to come out,
yes,
or Shrek 6. I don't even remember what we're on now. Yeah. But the new Shrek was supposed to come out. Maybe they had to rush this. I don't know. Like I said, I went into this film not knowing anything about it except it's Minions, and that was good enough for me. And it's a great film, and then it's an okay film. But it's a great film. I can't believe I'm saying this still.
Okay, so here's the thing. I went in there expecting kids audience level stuff, right? Immature humor and all of that. And yet this film plays at two levels. Like I was trying to say, you have the kid level stuff, and then you even have the adult level stuff. Disney used to do that all the time. They don't do that anymore. But this is Illumination, Universal, showing you they can do it too. They can play on those levels. Like who hasn't stepped on a Lego and then gone for a spill, across the room? And that's one of the gags that's in here. But it plays perfectly for parents who've had that experience. They barefoot step on a Lego and everything changes for the day.
Was that the dude playing the Bright Brothers, playing both of them? Was that the dude? Was that Jeff?
It might have been. You know what? I could believe that, and I like the different inflections used by the person doing those voices. I thought it was great to distinguish them one from the other. One of them is very kind. One of them is very gruff.
It is him. I just looked it up. He plays Frank and Elwood, Bright Brothers.
Yeah,
and they're both heavy, and they sit down and they're. I mean, I'm used to these movies. I know what they bring, and this brought something different for the first half. And after that, we just get a Minions thing. But I'm going to tell people. I don't want to go too deep on this Culture because it's okay. It's a Minions movie. But I think this is as good as Toy Story, except I think it's for boys. I think boys will like this as much as girls like Toy Story 5. But I don't think this film is deep. I just think it's ridiculous, silly, fun, but it's chock full of references to old Hollywood, and they did a darn good job for a big chunk of the film.
I tell you what, like I say, I was barely aware of it. I want to go see it now after what you said. So there's that.
It is worth it.
But secondly, the whole thing about the Hollywood references, what it reminds me of is that great Disney cartoon of the polo match where they did caricatures of all the Hollywood stars.
Sure.
Oh yeah.
And I'll give a spoiler here, folks. If you don't want to be spoiled, stop now. But the whole movie is a movie, and we've seen this before, right? But they execute this really well to the degree that when the credits roll, the credits go to the characters who made the movie, and then it takes a while before they actually run the real credits.
And I would suggest stick around for a few minutes into the credits. Number one, you're going to appreciate that the score that the composer worked on works throughout this entire thing. But the Foley artists were busy. Everybody that was involved, that would have been involved in an old Hollywood production, seemed to have been involved in the production of this. And look, I'm not going to sing too many praises because if you're a member of my channel, you've already seen my thoughts about it. But I didn't give it the highest numbers score, but I didn't deter anybody from wanting. I hope I didn't deter anybody from wanting.
I think it's a fine. I think it's a fine film. It's my summer surprise. I mean, really, I didn't have high expectations. Financially, I thought it would do well, but I had a smile on my face because I was, you go in thinking, okay, ho hum average, and then all of a sudden there's all these references to Buster Keaton, and you're sitting there going, I'll be darned, and there's such a funny joke in here too, Culture, when all the minions get fired from Hollywood because they can't speak, and we've just moved to the talkies, right?
Yeah.
So, which is a Charlie Chaplin reference, right? So all the minions are being fired, and every one of them in a line, and we find out their names. We've never heard all the minions' names. They're going through the names, and there's this ugly, unpleasant minion who shows up, and the guy firing them, he's been so nice to each one, shaking their hand, and saying, Jacques, Fred, and they're all saying, bye, Max, with their little minion voice. The ugly one with a little buck tooth, shows up, and he says, bye, Richard. And then he switches to the other name that's not Richard. That's short for Richard. And it works, but and they still hold the PG, but they get to say it. And I just thought that is so great that made it into a Minions movie.
it was, and again, that's the only place where I say this may be misconstrued by some people in the audience. But look, it was absolutely, like you said, it was absolutely, what they needed. And they really did bring it. And look, kids are going to love this. Grandkids are going to love this. You can feel good about as a parent or grandparent taking the kids to see this.
Nothing bad in this at all.
Yeah.
Nothing bad in this at all.
And there's no nonsense political stuff. So, it's again, not the greatest movie of the year, but certainly something fun from old Hollywood. And that was well done.
I think if it's a child who's 3 years old, 4 years old, maybe some scary parts here that, but cover their eyes. And then there are a few little bit, it's Minions and there's monsters. And so there's a few references to like a seance or something. So if that bothers you, again, cover your kids' eyes if you need to. But it's a fun film, and they went way harder than they had to in the first third to half of this film. It's remarkably great movie.
Really good. The first act and most of the second act were great. And like I said, the third act is where things obviously either were rushed or they didn't have enough time to really flesh out the rest of the story.
Culture, I'm more positive now. The bad news is, okay, so I'm more positive now that DC is going to have really bad days for the next few days. I mean, Minions is because it's good, and because people are going to go home and say, hey, you got to see this. It's not just your standard Minions movie. It's going to wallop Supergirl.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, and Toy Story is not going to go anywhere. It's not like that's going to pack up and go home.
Right. The whole 4th of July, the Independence Day weekend is going to be Minions and Toy Story.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the two biggest losers because of when they chose to release are going to be Disclosure Day and Supergirl.
67% drop for Supergirl, you think?
Yeah, I think 67's right spot on.
Yeah.
I think and 70 wouldn't surprise me, though. 70% fall off would not surprise me.
And Disclosure Day's toast. I mean, that's done.
Yeah,
that's gone.
Yeah.
Lauren, have we convinced you to go see the Minions yet? Are you going now? You going to hop in the Lauren mobile and go over there?
Well, I kind of feel like I maybe gave the wrong impression when we opened, because I have seen, I think, 2 of the Despicable Me movies, and I liked them. I just never saw the Minions spin-offs. I just never got around to it. So I'm not against going to see the movie. Honestly, I just didn't know it was out. So,
well, just so the audience knows, and now, Lauren, there are 7 of these movies now. This is the 7th one.
And of the Minions
Minion movie, or is that
no, including Despicable Me? And that isn't that surprising? Just how popular these little yellow guys are.
Yeah, but I mean, I do like them, and I think they are funny. And sometimes that's just what you want as an audience. You just want to be entertained. That's all we're asking Hollywood to do. It's not that hard, guys, but you want to keep lecturing us. So if you give us genuine entertainment, you're going to be rewarded. That's how this works.
So I'm going to say that this is Despicable Me is better. But other than that, in this entire franchise, I think this is number 2. I think this is the second best out of the Despicable Me and Minion movies. How's that for you, Culture?
Oh, it's a little stronger than
Which
my
one's
take
better?
on it. Well, I think I liked all the Despicable Me's.
Maybe 2 is better. Despicable Me 2. It's close. What's your number scores? 0 to 10, Culture. What are you giving this thing?
Oh man, it's going to be lower than you expect based on the praise I just gave it. And I know the audience. If you're watching my review, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
Because it's aimed at kids. It's not aimed at me. And while I appreciated,
here we go again.
While I appreciated everything that was about it, you did the same caveat.
This is like you getting a toy and saying, well, it's a 3 out of 10. I don't play with it.
Hey,
we're like, Culture, it's for kids.
If I'm barefoot and I step on a Lego, I'm going to be a little mad.
Yeah, I can't blame you. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. So together we would land at 6.5, but I think it's 7 out of 10. I gave Toy Story 5 a 7 out of 10. Again, though, I think, listen, I know how to tell you what to do for your holiday if you want to go to the movies. Send the girls to Toy Story. Guys, you go see Minions. Yeah. And there you go. That's the way to go with this. It's a win-win for everybody. I think it's going to beat the projections. I think it's going to beat Supergirl. I think it's going to beat Supergirl badly and send it into a
which
tailspin.
Which movie should Elliot Page go to?
Oh, no.
It's quite the conundrum because secretly Paige will want to see Toy Story, but, I just said go see Minions to people who identify.
You can all go out for noodles together afterwards.
Oh, not the noodles again. Here we go. Parting is such sweet sorrow, ladies and gentlemen. It's only made sweet because there's more content on the way. We never stop. It drives the Hollyweirds mad, but we've got decades left in the can, and we keep going and going and going. Oh, wait. Are we showing our cards? That's right. We'll never stop going near and far and sending out the content you love. Folks, you can help us continue to do just that. Smash that like button. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. And until the next time, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.